Okay, so warmest welcome to this workshop. For many of us, it's like renewing old traditions which had sort of vanished for the last 2 years. So I'm very glad that many of you accepted to travel, at least within Europe. There are people flying from or taking the train from Switzerland, or coming from Sweden, from Finland. So that's great. This workshop is co-organized by Links, and Daniel KOFMAN, who is the head of Links, will say a few words on Links today. And it's also organized and co-funded by an ERC grant, which is called NEMO, which I will introduce briefly tomorrow. So we have selected this topic for the workshop. It's an old tradition. We have been working on these vehicular network problems quite a lot in the past. We started this line of thought at Links, quite early. And there was always a significant interest on these questions for several reasons. First, it has this multi-facet industrial contents, right? So it pertains to communication science and communication industry, but it also pertains to transportation systems, automotion, and automobile industry, right? So, and there will be talks coming from industrial colleagues on both sides, the automotive industry, transportation system agencies, and of course communication. There will be two talks, one by Nokia and one by Qualcomm, right? So, and scientifically speaking, also the topic is quite challenging. There are, of course, quite interesting entanglement between vehicular dynamics, communications, electromagnetics, computer science with lots of signal processing with the fusion of multiple signals coming from, say, 5G, radar, LIDAR, and so forth. Right? So quite interesting fusion, quite interesting topics in connection with edge computing, very big importance of real-time constraints. So it's a very, very interesting topic to many of us. Okay, so I would like to also thank two organizations before giving the floor to Daniel. Telecom Paris, who arranged the organization of the trips and practically lots of administrative things, thanks to the work of Anna. And INRIA also, who helped us for various types of organizational things. I think, so now I will give the floor to Daniel, who will introduce Links, and then Anna will say a few words about the organization of the workshop and a certain number of things she has in mind. And I think that's all what I would like to say for this introduction, unless you have any questions. Okay, Daniel.
Thank you, François. Good morning and welcome at Links. Welcome to this workshop. I will say a few words about what we are doing here. So Links is a joint lab, joint in the meaning of academia and industry, on the domain of ICT, but also on the domain of ICT applied to different sectors. And in this case, we're going to talking about ICT applied to a vehicular intelligence systems. Now, Links was created in 2011 And the target was to facilitate the transfer of knowledge between academia and industry, as I mentioned before. We started with a few tens of colleagues, and today we are more than 100 colleagues, if we are counting, of course, the PhD and the postdocs, covering a quite broad scope of the digital world. And we don't spend too much time introducing this because we are going to have time during the breaks to talk more about. But it is strongly based on the organizations of events like this one and on the invitation of international and national colleagues. We've been welcoming more than 2,000 invitees since we've been created. And of course, it has been easy during the last 2 years. So we are very happy, as Francois mentioned, to restart with this tradition of welcoming colleagues. And we are very happy that you are with us today, even here physically or at distance. As I mentioned before, the target was to facilitate the transfer between academia and industry using all the scope of methodology of research that we all know, from the most fundamental to the most experimental. And one of the keywords around the things that we are doing is the collocation, is the idea that in the same physical place, we are together working colleagues from the industry and from the academia, which facilitates the fact that through the interactions every day, or it used to be every day when we, again, before the COVID, new ideas were coming to the table because these spontaneous interactions. This is really the core of we've been trying to do during all these years. And we've been doing this around, as I said before, a quite broad scope, which ranges from internet architectures, Internet of Things, smart spaces, and of course, V2X is today a central part of these smart spaces. And as I mentioned before, links have been created in 2011, and already in 2012, 2 theses were defending on this domain, both of them directed by Francois from Viet and Guillaume and Frederick Morlo, right? So as you can see, we have a long tradition of working in these domains, almost from the very beginning of the creation of links. We are working in different other topics like the cellular networks, 5G and 6G. We are launching a set of new initiatives around this topic these days at the national level and at the European level. Metrology, blockchain, and the applications that are related with that. And one of the interesting things, I think, is that we've been working from the very beginning in a strong interaction with all the vertical sectors. We are talking about vehicles here, but we also interact with energy companies, with health companies, and so on and so forth. Central to what you are doing is theory, network theory, information theory. And of course, having Francois as a co-founder of Links is a guarantee that we can only be strong on this part of the scope. We are launching new activities on network interactions. Maybe we have some time to talk about this later on. And of course, as everywhere, artificial intelligence, machine learning as a tool for designing the system we are talking about became quite central of what we are doing. We have a scientific committee, and we are very glad to organize every year a 2-day workshop with them. They present, we present, we brainstorm about how to enhance, keep enhancing what we are doing here. This year, the present year, the workshop with the scientific committee will be held in June 29 and 30. And of course, you're more than welcome to participate to the talks of these colleagues of the scientific committee. All will be streamed over the internet. So Links has been defined as a very open place. As I mentioned before, we are welcoming colleagues from all over the world. We are interacting, we are open in the sense that we are open to colleagues, to projects, to new ideas. So I hope you will enjoy this workshop as a mean maybe to keep developing interactions with all the colleagues around. And that was enough for the blah blah. So let's move into the more interesting things. First of all, Anna will introduce us how we will organize this event, and then we'll move on to the scientific talks that we are all waiting for. Thank you for being here.
So welcome everyone. I'd like to say a few words. I believe these past days have been quite shocking for all of us because of what is happening in the world. So I really believe that academia, science, and bringing people together from different countries is really more important and meaningful than ever right now. In terms of practical information for the workshop, so if any one of you in the room will connect through Zoom, I would ask you to switch off the volume of your computer because we are using an external microphone. I thank you for wearing masks all the time when you are attending, when you are presenting, giving a talk. We allowed you to take it off. There are documents in the pouch on each desk. There's a program of the workshop with the abstracts of all talks and also practical information about the Wi-Fi and lunch options for these days. You are free to choose and we get organized together as we prefer. The talks will last 45 minutes, including question and answers. So you'll choose if you want to receive questions during the talk or just at the end, but make sure to stay in the time. There will be short breaks after each talk, as you see from the program, especially for people connected remotely to get some pauses, and coffee breaks just here outside. And of course, the organizers, Professor Baccelli, Andrea Araldo, and I are always available. Thanks again for joining.